Okay, so you're going to look right at me.
Hold on, I just want to make sure I hit the right points and the project.
Okay. So look at that after. Right. Okay. Very good. All right, so remember, they'll never hear me. So it helps if you can paraphrase my question back.
Okay.
Okay. So my first question is, can you tell me your name and your position?
I'm Kathy Coteritas, and I'm Executive Director of Historic Boston Incorporated.
And give me briefly, what is the mission of Historic Boston Incorporated?
Historic Boston Incorporated, otherwise known as HBI, rehabilitates historic buildings in order to help urban neighborhoods thrive. We work strictly within the city of Boston and have been doing this work for 56 years.
Tell me about some of the other projects you've been involved in.
So here at the Eustis Street Firehouse, where we're located right now, we took a very dilapidated building, empty for 50 years and very distressed, and turned it into our headquarters and space for another nonprofit, and also restored an important piece of Roxbury history. We've also done the Alva Kittredge House in Roxbury, which is a rare surviving Greek Revival period mansion that once was the signature of the neighborhood and also had been empty for more than 20 years, and repositioned that for affordable housing, 5 units of new home ownership opportunities. In Hyde Park, we worked closely with the Main Street program to acquire a building in their commercial district and revitalize it for 4 apartments and 5 new small businesses on the first floor. That building dates to the 1890s and expresses the period of time in which Hyde Park was founded as a separate neighborhood.
So you're obviously very qualified to do the project that you're going to be doing. So tell me a little bit about what you're trying to partnership and what you're trying to do.
Right. Historic Boston loves partnerships. We love collaborating with the end users of the properties that we plan on revitalizing, largely because we think that historic buildings can serve a contemporary purpose, and that one of the best ways of doing that is to identify people from within the community who can give us the best insight into the markets we're going to work in and what the best end use can be. So we are looking at the Fowler Clark Epstein Farm, which we own and purchased about a year ago after many years of its being vacant. And we are repositioning it with the partnership of the Urban Farming Institute, North Bennett Street School, the Trust for Public Land, and Historic Boston to bring our various skills to bear on a $3.2 million project that will completely restore the house, an 18th century house, and a barn that dates to the 1860s, and cultivate the land around it for farming purposes and make it a real home base for farming and food in Mattapan.
And again, why are you so uniquely qualified to work in this kind of partnership?
Right. Historic buildings are very difficult to restore if they've arrived at a point at which they're so distressed that they're very expensive. And HBI is a patient investor. We understand that places like this are really important to community identity. In the case of the Fowler Clark Farm, we're taking a historic farm and bringing it back to its original roots of being a farm in a contemporary urban context. So we recognize how symbolic this is to the neighborhood, but also how important it's going to be over time to many future Mattapan residents. So it's important to restore them, and it's important to take risk, which we do, but we manage it within a market context. We work with all the tools that developers work with, but we also have the added advantage of raising money charitably and through other sources to help fill the inevitable financing gaps that historic buildings often have. And in this case, it's a building that's been empty for nearly 10 years and left and exposed to the elements. It really is an opportunity to take something that is really a negative image in the neighborhood and turn it into something completely different, a safe, beautiful place for the community to see hope in. That work?
Great.
Oh, good.
Okay, now, what didn't we talk about?
Nothing.
I think we're good. The overview
Okay.
was great.
You felt like that the
Oh,
project was clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask again about the
Okay,
project.
good.
So in terms of the farming piece
Good.
of it.
So it's important to get the 4 partners in there that I
we will
outlined.
show,
So just so you know,
take that, and you
the
said
logos are in the. They're all in the
Okay.
Dropbox.
So we'll make sure we
Yeah.
get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be in good hands. Okay. Okay, I think that you are good.
Yes, we do. That's it.
Okay, so can you tell me your name and your title, please?
My name is Patricia Spence, and I'm the director of the Urban Farming Institute of Boston.
And what does the Urban Farming Institute of Boston do?
Well, number one, it's a very exciting place, and our mission for the Urban Farming Institute is to basically develop and promote urban farming as a commercial sector within the community. And we're doing that through developing programs to create entrepreneurs. We're developing farmers and creating more green-collar jobs for our residents in Mattapan. We're also engaging the community to build a healthier and more locally based food system. It's an exciting area.
And why is that so important for a community like Mattapan?
We're building the health, working with our associates and groups and nonprofits and community organizations to build the health within the community. And by our Urban Farming Institute, we're able to amass land, we're able to train farmers who will then work on that land. We're able to provide educational seminars and workshops for the entire community. We're able to do statewide advocacy. We'll be doing all of those things in our wonderful and vibrant Mattapan. We basically see ourselves as being able to work ourselves into the very fabric, to weave ourselves into the very fabric of our community. We'll work in association with places like the Mattapan Community Health Center, the Garrett Presley Autism Center, the 5 schools in Mattapan. We'll be bringing students from all ages into our wonderful farms and teaching them that a carrot and a potato and peas do not come from a can or a frozen bag. They actually come from the ground. And by bringing youth and adults and our elders and our disabled, all the folks in our community will bring them all together to eat healthier, to live health-filled lives. And we do it again in association with all the groups that are already there, bringing vibrancy to Mattapan.
Talk to me about your work specifically with Historic Boston.
Historic Boston has been one of the most exciting relationships because of the people, number one. They are wonderful people to work with. And we've come alongside them with our other partners to build the Fowler Clark Epstein Farm. And that's where all this activity that I'm speaking of will reside. They're helping us to map out the farm, to restore, to renovate, to revive the 2 buildings, the barn and the old residential unit, to revive everything that was once a farm so long ago, and to have the opportunity to bring that back to a farm today and to bring the community alongside to do this epic project is just as exciting as it can be. And Historic Boston is there for us every day along the way, bringing their expertise and their knowledge. We bring the farming, they bring the how-to as far as making this all possible.
And when it's finished, what will be the amount of farming that will be able to be done? Can you talk to me a little bit about what you're envisioning in terms of a working farm?
As far as a working farm, it will be a place where we're creating farmer entrepreneurs will be doing it right on site. You will actually be able to drive by and see, I would say, approximately 13,000 square feet of land being farmed. Basic farming, no tractors, hand tools, and working alongside our wonderful farmer trainer, Bobby Walker. You'll also be able to attend courses, attend seminars and workshops in the barn. It will be open as well to the community. We'll have a demonstration kitchen there as well. So the barn will take on a life of, again, education in all things regarding healthy eating and food for the community. So local chefs will be able to come by and participate as well. And when you look at the residents, our farm trainer, Bobby Walker, will live there, reside there with Nataka Creighton, his wife, 2 advocates of urban farming forever. They've done this all their lives, I would say. So we will have resident caretakers there. And the rest of the building will be open to offices, and it will allow some of our partners to occupy the space as well, which is really exciting. So we're all working together under the same roof. We'll also have a greenhouse in the back so that we're not just doing this during the summer. We'll be able to grow year-round, provide seedlings and plants for our neighbors and for our farm entrepreneurs. Very exciting potential going on in the space. And when you talk about health, it means we can have yoga occurring there. We could have an artist there teaching children how to paint carrots and potatoes. There's so much. We can have bird houses there. They'll learn about birding. We'll bring bee people by. All kinds of things will be going on at the Urban Farming Institute. But again, we hope to, again, weave our message through and work with others that are already doing wonderful work in Mattapan. Mattapan, health-wise, unfortunately has some of the highest rates of childhood obesity, hypertension, heart attacks, cancer, etc. All types of maladies, which we're working on right now. But we hope that promoting healthy food and healthy eating will again allow us to bring back the health of our community and to do something that my grandfather and grandmother did and many of our grandparents did. They grew food in their backyard. So we're bringing farming back.
That was great. Okay, I just want to, I have one more question. You talked about bringing back, or, creating a green collar environment. Talk to me specifically with that language about what is a green collar environment.
What we're doing is, number one, creating green collar jobs. We're taking folks that are interested in a new career. We are also working with many of our men and women that are re-entering the workforce, for example. We're working with folks that just have a passion about urban farming and all that it will do to uplift our community and uplift our soil. We're also talking about taking over vacant land that's not currently being used and using that as a basis for our farmer entrepreneurs in the future. So we're creating jobs. We're creating jobs for our community and doing it in a healthy way. And everything that we do is surrounded by, environmental impact, cleaning up the soil, cleaning up the places that we live, and bringing growth to those areas in our community. I'm not sure if that's what you meant. You can edit this.
That was actually very good.
I wasn't sure if that's what you meant.
That was good. That was very good. And I have one more question. And so in terms of environmental impact on a community, by having live plants, by having trees, can you talk about that a little bit in terms of what that brings to a very urban community?
Well, number one, what environmental impact would we have? Number one, we're cleaning up. We're cleaning up by taking over these vacant lots. We're bringing back all the way from making sure we're bringing the bees back, to making sure that there are flowers planted in the area. We're also, as we do this, we have a plethora of volunteers that come, 600 last year. So as we are cleaning up the community, we're teaching other people how to take care of their community as well. And we're not just doing it with adults. Many of those volunteers are actually our youth. If you want to impact someone, start with the babies, start with the kids. They'll tell the adults what to do. So that's part of the strategy as well. But when youth and adults see how we're taking care of these properties, and they actually end up protecting the properties for us. They think a little bit differently as they're recycling. We recycle. They think a little bit differently on what we can do with our scraps because we compost. So all of that eventually, along with workshops and seminars, there's hopefully a trickle effect, a trickle-down effect, where we're encouraging the community to be more health conscious, more environment conscious, more climate conscious, all those things wrapped in one, because that's the language that we use when we speak as people come on board and volunteer.
And the other thing that you struck me that you said that I think is a byproduct of this is very interesting is that you also have the opportunity for multi-generational learning where someone who's young today could speak to their grandparents and say, we grew this in our backyard. I mean, my grandparents in rural Mississippi grew their own food. But that kind of intergenerational knowledge that's able to be accessed.
The Urban Farming Institute is a place where we really look at the intergenerational message, and it does come from me first. My grandparents came from Jamaica. They lived in Roxbury. They grew everything in the backyard. In the fall, they were pickling and they were canning. These are all things that folks learn when they intersect with us at the Urban Farming Institute. And we hope, it's a plan, to not only bring people in to learn what we're doing, but to bring every sector, every area of our community in. It shouldn't be just one type of person per se. It should be the entire community. And by that, the youngest children in preschool, your 3-year-olds, your 4-year-olds, I can find a job for a 2-year-old and probably a 1-year-old too if I think about it close enough. So you want to do that, and you want their families. You want the entire family to be involved. And then after that, you want our elders to be involved. You want folks to be involved. If they're 110 years old, they can be involved too. And we're going to set the farm up so that it's definitely accessible to everybody. And that's a key for me, having spent a part of my time working in the Boston Public School system. It's got to be accessible to everybody. A good example, there's an autism center that's run across the street. We want to make sure all of that entire youth, that entire center with both youth and some young adults are able to walk over and learn everything just as everybody else would. So we're talking about all people of the community to be involved in this. And also keep in mind, our community is very diverse. You have folks from all different countries in our community. And what that says to me, well, what food do you eat from the Dominican Republic? What food do you eat from Jamaica? And let's see if we can grow that food too. So there's so many areas that we can interact in the community and with all of our residents in the community. So that's of critical importance to us as well.
I think we got it.
Ooh, I'm out of here.
Anything you want to say that you did?
Yes, my name is Bobby Walker III, and my position is the farm trainer for the Urban Farming Institute.
And what does a farm trainer do?
So I am like a farm manager, but I train people. I train people how to farm in the urban setting.
And what does that involve?
So that involves growing in the city. So that involves me showing people how to set up a farm site from beginning to end. So that means it starts out with digging trenches to planting your first round of seeds and timing out when you plant each round, because in order to farm in the city and to actually keep your stock growing, you need to time it out week by week by week. So that's what I train people on. And
So talk to me in terms of the farm that you're going to build. What's the name of the farm, and what are the things that you're planning there?
so the Clock Fowler farm that we are working on will be our home base. It will be a test site for even new things that we will do. It will still be a big training ground because we have a lot of land at that site. It'll be actually our biggest site. So we generally work on 1/4 acres of land, and the Clock Fowler farm will be 3/4 of an acre of land. So it'll be 3 times as much as what we work on generally.
And how did you get into the urban farming training? Where did you come from? How did you start all this?
So I got into it. It started out with me and my wife. We wanted to have a farmer's market in our neighborhood, and we couldn't get any farmers to come. So at the time, we couldn't get any farmers to come, so we became farmers, and that's like how I started. I did some training I did like the Master Urban Gardening program. I also did the New Entry Sustainable Farming program, and we did those, came up with a plan, and then I met Glenn Lloyd at a fundraiser we were doing, and he was like, oh, we got similar things that we're doing, and that's how I became the farm manager for city growers. And from there, we created the Urban Farming Institute, and the first year I was the farm trainer and the farm manager, and that was a lot. So with that first class, actually half that class became the managers of the farm sites and freed me up to be the trainer.
What are you most looking forward to in the new site?
I'm looking forward to the greenhouse and be able to grow all year round and be able to have a home base that we're not so spread it out throughout the city, which I like that idea.
Are you originally from Boston?
I'm born and raised in Boston.
So how important is this for the community of Mattapan?
Oh, very important. Mattapan, especially in this area, there's not that much going on. And I think it would be one thing I've learned with the farm sites and being in communities is that it's like a gathering place. And it's always something that when people are walking by, they're like, oh, this is nice. I didn't know we had this in our neighborhoods. It's something that people don't generally see inside the city, you know. So I think that's, and I know when we have events and when we've had events at whatever site we're working at, it always, people come out, it's a different type of vibe that you get when people are in the community because they can come out and meet each other. A lot of times people can live in the same building and not even know each other. So you got a growing place where people can come and share. So I think that's what I think we can offer.
That was good. Hold on, I'm just going to see if I missed anything. I think you're good. I want to ask one more question.
Mhm.
So you have, in a sense, become a green collar worker.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about, and use that word, green collar worker, why is that such a big deal right now in this day and age?
Well, I like being a green collar worker because I'm helping my environment. I'm learning about my environment, and I'm growing my environment. You know, what's better than food? We all need it. That's what I think about being a green collar job. I love it.
Good, we got it.
Good.
Is there anything you want to talk about I didn't ask you?
No,